Normally, some years ago, we used to be attached to a workstation because the technology was there. So we had to go to the office, we had to connect, and we would spend there 8 hours working. What is happening right now? People is starting to move, right? So you no longer stay all the time in your workstation. Now you're spending more time away of the office, in meeting rooms, with our bosses, and other things are happening is the way we collaborate and the way we connect to each other. Things are being more spontaneous. So we are changing from these type of spaces, like the first image here, to the second one, right? We are now more connected to, similar to what happens in our everyday life, right? We wake up, we maybe go to a coffee shop because we want to have breakfast, then we go to a meeting, then we go to meet with our teams, then we go back to a client, and then you move according to activities. So right now, what is happening is that design for offices is moving to activity workplace. That means that everything is defined by the tasks that people are doing. What else? Other thing that is changing the way offices shape is the modality of occupation. We normally in offices divide all the era of the workstations in 3 different eras, right? We began in the era of industry, and then to the era of information, and finally to the area of ideas. That is right now. We used to be every time in an office. Now the occupation modalities are divided in these different types. Long-term would be a company that actually stays in a building and all the users go to that building. Now it is moving also to short-term. What that means, we want to open an office in a new city. We don't know if we're going to stay there much longer because everything is moving and everything is dynamic, so we open an office for 1 year, for example. Or now we have membership, we have co-workings. There are a lot of companies that are identifying which population of their users can actually move in the city and don't have to be in the main corporate building, so they can use co-workings to do their stuff. Third spaces would be connected actually to the core first part of the conversation. This means we can work in other spaces that are not offices at all, right? Hotel, for example. Now the hotels have lobbies and have spaces that actually look like a very nice place we can work. We have the Starbucks effect, right? Which are all these coffee stations or all the restaurants where actually the places are designed and are very attractive, so we can work there. And now we have airports, we have even cinemas, all the places that are actually applying this co-working style. And finally, home. At least in Mexico, now 15% of the workforce is now using home office. So companies are trying to reduce the real estate, identifying who can do their work outside of the office. So now all these occupation modalities means that the offices are shrinking. We don't need everybody in the same spot at the same time. And the third part, which is, I think it's very interesting, it's what I like the most, and is connected to this forum and to the emotion and the experience, is what motivates people to go to work. What has been happening lately is that companies are understanding that we have, as an organization, the two biggest costs. The first one is people, payroll. That's what costs most for the company. The second one is real estate. With this presentation, we are going to attack both of them. Let's talk about the first one, the people. They are the most important. These are the 6 different motivations that make people like their place of work or going to work, right? It's interesting to know that only 30% of people are positively engaged in Latin America. 30%. This means that you wake up happy to do what you do, that you have a project that you have to feel emotion to, and that you go to the office and want to do it. The 70% of the rest of the people, they just do it because they want security, they want a paycheck, and that's it. That's very scary. So if you analyze the generations, probably our parents used to be more attracted to this first type of motivation, right? We wanted status. It was very important for us to get a corner office, to make our professional career path within a corporate, right? So we could be staff, then we could be managers, directors, VPs, and you could get this super corner office. Now that's not longer something that is interesting. Security, right, which is that we actually have some place that protects us and that we're going to be sure that we can protect and we can pay for our family and for our needs. And the achievement that you get when you do your work. Nowadays, this is getting less proportion, and new generations, talking about millennials and Generation C right now, are now looking more into these three types of motivations, right? They want autonomy. They don't want to feel attached to a place. They want their bosses to actually trust them so they can move around and they can do their things by themselves. They want to feel belonging. These new generations, they want to identify with the company they work for. So they actually even have a peek before they get into a corporate organization to see if it actually is congruent with what they think and what they love. And finally, have a purpose. I mean, you may all have experience with millennials, and they all want to bring something to the table very fast, right away. So all these motivations can actually be triggered with a workplace. So it's important to look at this. Also connected to the motivation, I have always loved the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I don't know if you are aware of this. This was a psychologist. And he did this theory, which actually sustains a lot of things that we understand right now. It was done in 1943. And what he explained is that we as humans need to fulfill different needs in order to get to our self-actualization, right? Our whole potential. We have the physiological and safety needs. These are the most basic, right? Which is that we can eat, that we can sleep, right? That we can have food, very basic stuff. Then the safety is connected to belonging to a place, right? This is connected a little bit with the last presentation about the people needing actually to feel safe in a place. Then we have the belonging and love needs. This is the affection. And one cannot be fulfilled if we don't have the others. They kind of get trumped. So, for example, the loving and the belonging. We have done in the research area of Herman Miller some studies, and it shows that a person that has emotional connection to people in an office, this means like friends that they care about, even if they don't like their bosses or they don't like what they do, they would stay in the company at least 2 years because of those connections. This represents a lot of savings to a company because every time a people leaves an office, they lose, right? Because they have to train somebody else and they're going to stop the process. So all these things, they don't, at the first sight, they don't seem to be connected to the office place, but they do. And then we have the esteem and the reward, which is that the people feel that what they do is being rewarded and that somebody is looking at that and they're giving something back. When you fulfill all these, you can be creative and you can be innovative. So if everything is blocked, it's difficult to get here. Now, there's a new theory, which I think it's actually true, which is that this is the basis, right? If we are not connected, if we don't have a cell phone, if we don't have that, we can't even sleep, right? So this is now a new 2019 thing. I found this and I think it was hilarious. Now, this is interesting because there's a study that was done by McKinsey in 2017 that says that 49% of the tasks we do nowadays in our jobs can actually be replaced by softwares or programs that exist today. That's scary. That means that 50% of what we do can actually be done by a computer or by a cell phone. So what is going to happen in the following years is that companies need people that create something, that bring ideas, that innovate. We no longer are going to need somebody that just fills a table in Excel programs. We need somebody creating, right? So as a company, we need to fulfill all this so we can get to that next level.